organic process by which chicks develop a gestating genius. See solutions where others only view problems. Look for signs of progress towards Christ consciousness to celebrate in the ever-passing moments. Build no monuments lest they distract you by the fallacy of self-worship on this journey of self-improvement. Make sure the credit goes only where it's due. In another life, that person caught up in the web of their own troubles might as well be little or due. Do you see goodness and mercy inherent in your thoughts and decisions? Are you adopted in his holy vine family, grafted within the safe clutches of his glorious inheritance? Part of that divinely sheltered Son of God ripened cluster which finds hope beyond the grave, conscious of the fact they are saved from all the monsters present in this world, hovering in and outside of ourselves. Some have been given permission to mess with our minds. Some are working in our schools, dragging us down beneath the murky deep. Do you value others' potential for conversion by Christ of themselves or others? Do you write them off and dismiss them as if they have nothing to offer this world just because they're suffering? Don't let them perish in silence. Be the voice that does protest loudly against domestic violence, the damage we do to ourselves both externally and internally when we pass the lips of our soul's worst enemy and ignore the voice of our very best spirit friend calling out to us, wiping away each tear that spills from our eyes, brushing them with the tips of his holy fingers. We are wholly acceptable in his sight. Who are we to push him right out to the edge of our lives? Can't we see he's knocking on the door to our hearts? Do we have to be so rude and treat him with disdain when all he wants for us is to remain content in his arms? Why is it so hard to avoid caving into temptation, allowing the pressure of peers to dictate our morality, which wouldn't be a bad thing if they were following in his footsteps? But we have to know for ourselves. A life of holiness is not impossible, though it is difficulty. Let's start with not finding fault in others, unless we are willing to point to a solution for why folks have polluted up minds. The Trinity is a holy family living me. Imagining this scenario, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit opening the door of my heart and walking straight inside it like it's a house. I know I might be embarrassed by what they see there when their eyes go exploring all the rooms, brushing the carpets with brooms, mopping every impurity in me with the holy blood, cleansing me with that pure, blame-shifting flood. Now I'm drifting away from that place of shame where I could barely lift my head above my hands, rocking back and forth in the fetal position on the floor, only seeing my flaws instead of viewing my soul through the eyes of the Lord. Because of your cross, guilt has been disentangled from my soul. Now I'm forever disconnected by the sin that previously infected and affected my thinking and made whole. I aim to be effective for your kingdom, to make a difference and not be indifferent, callous and cold in the face of confused minds that don't know his grace for themselves, so they poke us in the cheekbones, guiding us to turn the other one. We've got to keep our love light on high beam, knowing he can turn our dreams into reality. He hears us scream. He is my first port of call for help, not my last resort, the one I turn to in my frustrations for moral support, when nothing seems to be going the way I want it to. He reminds me to count my blessings, curing my stressing, thinking of how my life could be so much worse than it is, reminding me of how I'm better off. I watch his triune display of unity in me. How the Son never does anything his daddy wouldn't do, and how the Spirit is his comforting hands and feet, his tool to turn my mood from sour to sweet and keep me acting a fool when my fire runs out of fuel, when folks treat me in ways that isn't cool. Oh Lord, help me respond in ways that are kind, not cruel. Let me break the cycle of that tit-for-tat, eye for a tooth, continual exchange until the day you crack the skies open, peeling them like a can of sardines. I get down on my knees, go to war for all these teens, wrestling with the urge to give in to obscenity, to utter profanity. Forget us, you alone can save humanity. I'd be happier not knowing what the future holds if it isn't good as God. When I just want to be with you, but I've got to be patient because I can't say for sure that you're mine, though I dig the way you allow yourself to be used as a tool of divine hands. You understand you are not a goddess, just a human, but one of the extraordinary variety. God has done a work in your life I only catch hints and glimpses of. I don't need to pry into your past to build a wall around your heart and claim that for my own stake in the future that lasts forever for us. I will fight for your love to be breathed to life, and hold on tightly to it if you ever decide that I'm the one for you. I close my eyes and make believe I'm holding you inside my arms. I know the Spirit of the Lord is getting stronger in me thanks to your influence. You are truly His implement, instrument of peace. I take a leaf from your book and just concentrate on loving Him instead of troubling my brain over all the conundrums of the world. Can I be honest with you? I didn't think for 1 minute you would give me the time of day, nor the opportunity to know your ear off with all my cares and concerns. My heart is burning, yearning for your love to call my own. Could you love my clone more than me? Probably not, if it was equal in every way, not varying from my ID. I'm so glad you are original and not a copycat. It took you a while to find your feet and create your own style. It must be a source of frustration to you to see lesser talented girls have a career that shines bright like pearls. Though your future is bright like stars, I get how you might wrestle with impatience, waiting for your golden moment to arrive. Better backing up those who are packing away childish things and walking in spiritual maturity. I'll be hopping up and down like your bunny when I see you suddenly developing springs up on the bottom of my sighing hills. I can keep it real with you. I don't have to play pretend or act like anybody else other than myself. I can fall apart in your tender embrace, your lips as eyelashes for sure. But that's not why I chase after you so hard. It's cause when I picture Jesus, I see a likeness of you and vice versa. You are so in tune with His compassionate heart. A Viking frog may bathe in a tarn or respond to a dip in the pond. When I was a little tadpole, I used to sit on my lily pad and contemplate the universe. I would catch flies with my tongue, flickering it out quickly, then rolling it back into my greedy gob. I used to think those toads were one and the same as I am until we grew up and they began to look and act slightly different to us. Covered in warts, not a pretty sight to see, though just as slimy as me. Remember when we used to mate in the mop bucket outside your laundry door? Some of my cousins live in trees. They get along quite nicely. Wandering at a snail's pace, leapfrogging along those crooked and straight-laced branches. Ribboned with tears, I prefer the damp environments. Clammy habitats are more my style. I wait on a log while my dinner arrives. I dine out brisk all the time. I remain calm. When the world is frenzied, wars and poverty, they don't bother or concern me. I am still the same frog regardless of who is in the White House or my own yellow Yaxi. I heard that Basho was a fan of me. I wouldn't bash him if he wanted to keep me company, but I wouldn't kiss a princess in the hope that I might become a prince. I'm content with my worry-free froggy life. If you've got money, honey, then you've just got a pile of items to stress over whether they will get stolen. And now bother some internal query of what to do with all that cash. You start getting an itch to spend it. You break out in a rush as soon as you step close to a shopping mall. I can pick with the lizards for my snacks. We go to blows, but they are usually too fast to catch. And I come out the worse for wear, with black eyes from my cheeky stare. But I'm not bruised beyond repair, and for that I thank the Lord above. I am a symbol of transformation. I couldn't swallow a river like Tiddalik if I tried. My life is a wild ride like Mr. Toad's adventures. We watch them sit on stools in the night time, when little children's eyes are sleeping. They come creeping outside from their moist abodes, just sneaking out a blasted hole in the road. I went a courting, but that mouse never gave me a sporting chance. She said, stick to your own species when chasing romance. I am not a filthy animal just 'cause I double dipped my chip holes. I can spot that tiny sparkling flame flicker in the eye of my dream chica. I'm blasted to her like adhesive sticker is to apple. Her coat is dappled, her throat will chop all kinds of microscopic creatures. We imitate ants 'cause they're industrious but never leeches. Once she decided to take a chance on me, she's a champion. My eyes can clearly see she's got my vision trained on her. She's a shining light that's burning bright at the end of this dark tunnel, like set of dreary days. I get so weary of having to explain away my quirks and eccentricities. You increase my efficiency, compensating for those areas in which I show deficiency. Proficiently reorganizing my life for me. I will barrack for your team, do anything to help your dreams grow wings. Taking off past the clouds, wishing I was soaring to you in a plane right now. 'Cause living just seems like a lame excuse. If there's no guarantee, I can never claim your caboose. So I concentrate on curing my frustration by focusing on Jesus while I work up the motivation to approach you. Harboring my secret feelings, keeping them well hidden, bottled where your vision can't spot them. Please don't suspect me of any deed of rottenness. I know I dig my own grave 'cause I'm begging for more than you're willing to give. Wish the ground would treat me like the sons of Korah and swallow me up sometimes, but then I couldn't find the motivation to continue, which I'm ever discovering in you on the daily.
It boosts my spirit to be considered even slightly useful by you. Home here on the bayou. If money was no object, there's nothing I wouldn't buy you. Though I know you are far from a material girl, pretty like a pearl, precious as gold. The one my arms wish to enfold and hold forever close. I never want to scare you or give you an excuse to sever this connection between us. You're the exception to the rules. Most honey's inferior in hotness to you. Freak out when I suggest we get deeper acquainted than just possessing knowledge of each of us favorite brands of biscuits. Do you want to risk it? Open up to me, see where this journey takes us if we stay faithful to a conquer. Heaven is a treasure no man can plunder from us. Lord, please forgive me for my blunders. You've got my eyes open wide in wonder. I won't let anything steal this wonder you have placed within me. Your plans can't be torn asunder. I know I acted like a thunderhead. I make woman chunder like I'm one among the walking dead. It's no mystery why I'm shunned by some members of the opposite sex. Like I'm packing a pistol, causing them to run. Is it the bristles under my chin, rough as thistles, caressing her soft caramel skin? I hear you whistle and I'm puzzled. What's within that pretty little head of yours to make you sound so melodious? I sure hope I don't seem odious to you, smelling like rank boots that have been left out in the rain and haven't seen a lick of polish or a scrubbing brush for as many days as a Galapagos turtle is age, seemingly. I dream of scheming for your love. The tears come streaming down my cheeks like rushing races that attract me. You can use my chest to rest just like feet. When you're tired of dashing around my brain, you are my angel without wings. No wonder brings me insane and lots of inspiration, such a sensation. Who could be compared to you? Like an old set delicate features, yet feisty and bold even in your daintiness. Knowing how to stand up for yourself, cocky like an elf, popping up in my breakfast. No more victimized by your past. Knowing who you are in Christ, determined to settle down for life with you, the prettiest of petals, fantasizing about you being my boo thing. You could bring me to my knees in gratitude, praising heaven for sending me the answer to my prayers. You were like an onion with many layers, appealing like a banana, bubbly like a spa bath, steamy like a sauna in your intense passion to see the world saved. Charged by a driving energy that has to be witnessed with my own eyes in order to believe it's real. A violet concealed within a heart-shaped box. You may think yourself a fright in your nightie and your bed hair with your panda eyes and mismatched socks, but darling, you echo the divine with every sweet syllable that emerges from your perfect lips. Your hips swivel as the record needle skips. The brightest crayon in the box chose to be my friend. I could have sour grapes over the fact I'm your self-confessed yet possibly untrue biggest fan in the universe, and you are far too tired to talk to me. Or I could rejoice in the fact that you choose to even interact with me in the first place, though I may never feel your sweet embrace. I feel God's grace and mercy flowing out of you in vast amounts, no scale can measure. You are his treasure, you wear his crown full of glory, set upon your head with invisible holy hands. I won't demand your attention or remind you in custody. I will understand if you're too busy to spend a little time with me. I haven't got my head in the sand. I don't believe in flying pigs, yet I do believe that you and me is within the realm of probability. Only because for God nothing is an impossibility. I want to see your gifts and abilities getting all the glory and praise they deserve. Cause you said the ancient of days and put it first in everything you do. I know he is your consuming passion and I want him to be mine as well, even more so. Please don't think you are tossing your pearls in the pig trough with me. I won't crunch them between my teeth. I shall utilize the wisdom that flows like a cleansing river from God's heart out your mouth, transmitting signals from heaven into my mind wisely. I feel good vibrations when I'm with you, darling. Won't you dance with me? We can party by the sea to the tunes of the King of Kings. We can keep these moments together tasting pure. They don't have to be turned to manure due to our actions. We need not stir up or we can love before it pleases. Though there's nothing in this world I would want to do more than kiss your lips right now. I will settle pretty pedal for hearing your voice in my ears when you come on visiting. The kettle is connected to the doorbell. Food and hospitality will be waiting on tap for you, sweetheart. I won't bed in a room of your own, cause we wouldn't want to indulge our sensual desires before the fire has a right to burn between us and brewing jumping. Not tying demonstrations of the sensational connection we both have. Done on my days of being a lavatory mouth. You change I. May those who stand in support or opposition to us be blessed beyond measure. Let no curse or fall on your shoulders as you grow older. You start to develop more curves and increasing your voluptuousness, attracting attention, but you wanted or otherwise from the opposite sex. Did they start noticing you in the schoolyard? Or were you one of the neglected and forsaken ones like me? Did they flee when they saw you coming and flock you to you like bees do a piece of honeycomb when you snapped it off their heart? Are this woman for you and they got what desire, wanting a piece of you for themselves, haunted by your image, burn laser beam like into their brains and hearts? I hit you up, such an apple cart, but I'm just before my ears to gobble the tasty tart like treats of your voice, strictly caramel, never citrus, though you be no less zesty for the difference. Can our eyes meet face to face before we knock on heaven's door? I implore you to keep me company. Can I sweep you off your feet with flowers or chucky? You rock me like a hurricane. The way I love you is so insane, cause we haven't even met yet. Does that mean we got nothing to regret? It's fucking interest. I know I was the one who chased you down. I can't pretend it was the other way around. I never meant to fall head over heels. I was defending my position of singleness, but you caused me to lay down my sword and shield by the riverside. Honey, please be sweet to me. I will spend all my money just to see you smiling so brilliantly, like the sunshine taking over my nighttime sky like roof. Before I met you, lit by lunar lamps, attempted to penetrate the gloom of my surroundings, yet you caused joy to mushroom up my heart. Flowers bloom when you step into my threshold, step into the threshold of my house, so to become all yours, like we captured at first sight, intoxicated by the delight of your beauty's cutie pie. Your voice has got me drunk. I want you all the time. You are so charming to summon my weaponry. Oh Lord, having my arsenal, I used to hook your heart for me. Please don't be the fish that never landed on my dish. Be the one who got away with claiming my heart with one blink from your eye. Getting away scot-free with skipping jobs, giggling in glee. I love your picture perfect smile, honey boo boo. I just wanna see you flourishing like the palm trees. It brings me such agony and ecstasy to see you shining so brightly and yet not be with you. Oh, my sparkling beauty like crystal waters, reflecting God's glory. You sound like summer sun, bursting in brilliance out from behind those rain clouds of my daily moodiness. Brooding over how to avoid these pitfalls, I often find myself stumbling into true and humble pie. Knowing if I want to reach you, I better wait in the queue. But of all the people you could be conversing with, you select to share a tiny piece of your secret. Oh, so with me. Every time I speak, I feel myself drifting closer to your heartbeat. Please don't go retreating from me. When times get difficult, I promise you will never catch me cheating on beating on you. Let my attention never drift sideways to other girls considering themselves more kind of clever, prettier, or godlier than you, yet failing miserably in their vain attempts to claim my heart. I have to keep on believing it's possible for me to have a relationship outside the confines of my own head. I wasn't designed to end my days in loneliness. I will give Jesus praise for not permitting the candle of my flesh to consume me. I know I've been playing with blue-tongued flame lizards for far too long, like juggling knives, expecting not to get cut open, or sticking marshmallows on my fingers and hoping desperately they don't get fried to a crisp. God can use me, although I speak with a lisp, and have been known to stutter upon occasion. Still, he can find a use for me in this kingdom. I love how it uses you to transport my brain to a more peaceful, pleasant past. More peaceful, pleasant postures than the ones in which my mind usually resides. You are the pair of wings that transports me beyond these unswept minefields. If I fall into the shaft, I don't care if you're letting in a drop or bringing in the sun's glare. For you're the hovercraft that takes me from the doldrums to a place where joy is easy to access. I can always tell when you will be spending time soaking up his lust and presence. Your whole face emerges radiant in his glory. Am I guilty of litotes or just living in peyote denialville? To say I'm a glutton for punishment won't be an understatement, because I seem to keep coming back just to get my face slapped again, or pushed into the shadows while you are with a better, younger, hipper model, fresh up the factory room floor, jumping off the conveyor belt into your arms. I might never be the answer to your prayers, but you sure are mine. I could pour a cup of down all over my spine and light it up while you sip your wine. If self-immolation isn't gonna get your attention, I don't know what is. How about just treating me kind like Jesus always did, she says. I'm all out of solutions, continually running back to you, hoping you'll give me a shot at your heart. Did you have to tear me all apart? Why is it so much easier for me to focus on those relationships that went south? concentrated on the haywire and debacles instead of those enduring connections which shifts to the test of time. Why don't I spend more time celebrating and cultivating the companionships that God has given me instead of complaining about the women and children I don't currently have many, because I know how close I came before I roasted a link over a hot flame. I'm so glad my God never gave up on me, even though I had the audacity to throw his love into the sea. He kept his ears open to my cry, knowing I would need him in order to inhale ever again. He tolerated my foolish complaints, attempted to blame me for things that were essentially my fault when it all boils down to it. If I had but been a better listener, I might have avoided some of the catastrophes that came my way. But no audible capacity would have spared Jehovah from the cat of nine tails. You couldn't scorn him for well, and any of us would have given up at the first station of the cross, yet alone follow through to the final stage of crucifixion. We complain when it starts to rain, even one droplet, yet alone, if a great affliction is inflicted upon us. Yet those in the desert who haven't seen any moisture for years will seek comfort in their tears, cheering their spirits if they possess the wondrous knowledge of his heart's caress. When somebody starts whispers, don't assume you're the reason. I've got to stop sprinkling dirt inside my skull chamber. It's like the second I gain victory, the devil comes around trying to reclaim me. I need to praise away temptation to avoid the misery of a guilty conscience that instantly follows that moment when I come crashing down from the exhilarating high, forcing the hand of my better judgment when I turn it down to mute. These actions do not compute with the life of a child adopted into God's family. I can't remain wild and free. Have to learn to tame my tongue, tame my wandering eyes. Don't be ruled by what's in between my legs. It was never meant to be my boss, only Jesus is. I'm taking baby steps towards the cross, turning away from my wicked ways, walking on that road of righteousness instead. Even though I'm an insomniac and my spirit is restless, so restless, I need some energy and motivation. Lord, I'm sorry for my insubordination. I hear you calling me. You coordinate my hands and feet to move and operate in a symmetry with your heartbeat. Keep me on my toes, balance me like my ears do. Marching to the beat of you, my drummer, leading your army. Captain of the heavenly host who so far has protected me from tsunami waves. But even if he didn't and permitted me to be slain, I would still trust in him to the utmost. Can I coast away from the curveballs tossed in my direction? I'm far too susceptible to subliminal suggestion. Never did I bother calling into question. Where is this voice coming from? Why is it making me do these things that don't please God? How can I appease his wrath? What kind of sacrifice does he want me to make? Are you sure all that's required is my heart and soul dedicated and worshiping to you? Oh Lord, what does that mean? In every minute, not just when I'm at the altar surrounded by other Christians, not just when it's convenient to praise your holy name, but when I'm surrounded by those who chose to remain in chains, whose souls are destined for the flames of hell, or those who are ignorant, trapped in the shell of delusion, never aware of any better life beyond this one, disconnected from the glorious sun. Is autarky, malarkey, or mindfulness? Many of us have dreamed of reaching a place where we are economically self-sufficient, where we do not have to rely on trade deals with other countries, where we do not need to buy any products from overseas, where we do not need to be in a state of peace with one nation or in a state of war with another nation, or to impose trade embargoes on yet another nation in order to be able to survive as an independent nation by ourselves. Has this ever been possible? There was a time in history where we pretty much lived in agrarian economies, and whatever we ate was whatever we could grow off the land. Now we are facing situations where overseas companies are buying up all our soil, so any crops we grow belong to them. So we are left with sloppy seconds or leftovers rather than the cream or the greatest quality amount of our produce. We have bought into the lie that we need chemicals to kill all the bugs that bother our plants, our fruits and vegetables. We give some countries tax breaks and show leniency and grace when it comes to repaying debts to the International Monetary Fund, and for others we create unrealistic expectations for when they are due to assist in collecting the amount they owe on behalf of their nation. None of us were made to be islands, even those of us who live on them. Traditionally, an island will look after itself and be independent of any outside interference. With the advent of international exploration, we began to lose our identities as existing independently or of outside interference. The second we began to mix it up with each other, we started to change who we were, and in some aspects lose who we were. This could either be a good or a bad thing. It may be a happy or a sad thing. It is definitely a radical thing, and if it is an introduced concept to a nation that is not used to interacting with the outside world, that is why when we see outsiders, we assume them to be gods or aliens. We may think they intend to help us when they only want to harm and exploit. As colonization results in the intermingling of concepts as well as their death by proxy, a more economically sustainable one takes its place. In the barren wasteland of my soul, your love thrives still. Sometimes I like to see how close I can get to the fire without being burned. Once I leave this life, I'll be gone forever, never to return. My heart and soul secretly yearns to be held in your arms. I'm sorry that I'm not always your best candidate, for you said your greatest representative is my faith in fables, cause I forget I am the church and steeple, in which the Holy One, King of the universe, does dwell. What is it that could possibly motivate you to love a sinner and a wretch like me? I wouldn't fetch a high price at the slave market of sinners. I'm all skin and bones, no meat on me, no muscles or anything worthy of exploitation, no stud-like capacity, useful for breeding resentment, not children. Who knows my potential for fertility? It seems futile to have seed which only gets spilled, going to waste. Always one more thrill I'm desperate to taste, even if it scorches, tortures and tortures me in the process. I'm only beyond redemption if I fail to see my need for repentance. If I'm so far gone I can't see the stomach-clenching stench of my own sin wallowing up to my eyeballs in the cesspool of my disgusting deeds. Do I even rate a mention in the prayers of all those incessantly begging and pleading with their needs on clear liquid crystal display, glowing neon light so bright it frightens me? I scurry off into the darkness, a blind mole since birth, who cannot tolerate the rank sense of my own abominable actions, yet somehow I seem perpetually drawn into this self-cannibalizing like trap. What causes me to be in rapture over fence-sitting homegirls, leaning so far over the side of Satan's camp that they may as well be in it already, though there may be hope found in the fact they fail to acknowledge it, taking no pride in the company of the Indian trapper of souls, wanting to distinguish themselves from him, yet being unable to forbear admittance of the existence of God. There is pitiful evidence of a life transformed, such a tragedy when you only see payola drawn with the Creole image of a life that exploits one's body for profit, so demeaning to only perceive your assets as physical, ignoring those of the spirit. Let tongues brag about us for all the right reasons. They can say what they want about us. We don't care in the slightest, so long as our heads are in the right place with Jesus. We shouldn't worry about all the nasty things they have to discuss about us. If they slight us or act impolite towards us, either to our faces or behind our backs, our skin is thicker than that, keeping a stiff upper lip. God has equipped us with the ability to exercise self-control and not to bite back. Even when we desperately want to use our fists to teach them a lesson about how to treat others, bloodshed only leads to more bloodshed. It doesn't cure its unceasing dripping. Unless we're talking about the blood of Jesus, which has the ability to intervene on our behalf, acting like a blanket covering a multitude of sins, potentially purifying everyone in existence, past, present, and future, as long as we are willing to simply permit its power to work in us. I know there are days when my desire and hunger threatens to destroy me, times when it does annoy me, and others when ignoring it simply becomes one of those tasks I throw in the too hard basket, caving to my cravings, beating myself black and blue, wondering what on earth am I to do. I am a spirit living in a body in desperate need of grace, seeking God's face. The first step comes in recognizing my need for Him in every waking moment. For though it isn't my sins alone that pierced His hands and feet and thrust a spear through His side, I stand accused of being human, born into a sinful body, yet transformed into the image of a new creation. I abide in Him. Glorious One, victorious One. Though my morning is great, your all-conquering ability is greater. I need not hang my head in shame for the rest of my life. I can lift it up high, knowing I am your guide, and yet mysteriously, simultaneously your bride. I will boast of that fact, I have tasted freedom. So these distractions turn from sweet to bitterness in my soul's mouth. I have walked that road of carnality. I avoid the turn-off. I know exactly where it leads, only to gloomy caves of doom and misery. Keep this sea of tears from swallowing me whole. Jesus, save my soul. Realign my goals with yours. Cleansed of contamination, if not its ability to inhabit me. I've got this supercharged intense love for you. I aim only to express in godly ways, making my best efforts not to make any negative confessions about who I am, what God can do with me, or even the two of us, if only you were willing to float alongside me. Jumping on board my love boat, I gloat about how Jehovah connected the two of us together. My homie went, wow, the first time I ever saw your face. You are the woman I could never replace. I don't ever want you to disappear from my view. I'm grateful to God for bringing you into my life. You got my heart singing and my hips swinging. Jesus did me a major favor when he brought you across my path. I was as low as any human could ever possibly hope to be. If I hadn't met you, I don't know where I would be. It's not like you are my salvation, but your musical ability incinerates my misshapen expectations, causing me to rise up from that crestfallen, dusty to mind state. No more chewing dirt ever since I met you. Lord, help me not flirt with other girls. Let Miss Wonderful be the one I always bounce right back to. I can see her in my trajectory. That's why I'm spending my time at the rectory, projecting a future for her and me that's built in heaven above. God showering us with plenty of love. Holy Spirit coming down, swooping on us like a dove. Are you scooping this treat for the eyes and the soul? Queen of hearts who claims my own. Can you see why my spirit hungers for her just as much as my flesh and bones? My appetite is ravenous for this shorty. I'm famished, I constantly crave her company. I want her so desperately. Without her, I question whether there is hope existing in this planet. I find it only in her arms and the face of Jesus, displayed in the product of her perfectly manicured fingers, strumming that lovely, smooth, curvy, polished instrument. All those delectable lips, tongue and teeth. I'm beached like a whale's bucket, its belly on the coral reef. Without her in my heart, life is meaningless. She brings me closer to heaven with every perfect note. She's the son of celestial echo, so appealing. I know God would never forsake her while she's breathing. Knuckle duster. A young lass, in a cast up to her waist, may taste the scent of angels' wings. Should she consent to be beamed beyond this temporal cell of being? For in her dreams she spreads a span of fluttering feathers, a fluffy downed creature with power transcendent, a beauty resplendent, encapsulated within the joy she gains despite the pain she experiences, and not being able to physically travel to all of the places she reads about in books and watches in documentaries. Why should she let her situation prevent her playing volleyball like a professional? Who says her spirit cannot soar and raise her body is not able? Who told her she should forever remain trapped like a naked inside its shell? Oh, she longs for those days before that car crashed, when in a blinding flash her feet, which once had invisible springs stuck to the bottom of her heels, yields to the inevitable result of a man who has had one too many drinks, tumbling down the rabbit hole of a dire circumstance. She offers him an olive branch in the form of flowers. He does not reciprocate the dour sour noted mumbler. He does not resonate with her in the slightest. She is better off knocking on wooden doors or banging her head against brick walls rather than hoping for a compassionate response from him. For his heart is cold and steely like a robot. To express emotion may cause him to short circuit. He treats her like a freakish creature at the circus, only good for ogling, porn, and hysteric, booking fun up, treating as if there is a sphere of glass between them both, not meant for interacting with like a wild animal that speaks a foreign language only cats or turtles perhaps understand. Does it take the progress of a tortoise to remove him from his underhanded muscle? Maybe she did not take him to the cleaners, although her relatives begged her to punish him with lies. She said it won't bring back the feeling in my legs if I am a fire burning for revenge, although she shook her fist and wished that heaven would persist in punishing him in ways she never could. She didn't know about his real sleepless nights, the close calls he had to risk letting. Without a sausage in the house, a dog can be mighty miserable. Oh, a pooch is known to mourn and weep and wail as upon the padded carpet surface he or she does creep, claws clinging to its fibres like a man about to leave his sweetheart forever at the airport. This little or big one shall cry a river when bones are promised and its owner fails to deliver. Though they may scratch at the door of their master, they may not necessarily procure the response they're after. A dog may see his or her tunneling in the rose bushes as craftsmanship, saying, "Look at me, admire what a marvellous job of drilling in the dirt I did. Never mind the fact that's where the dead chicken is buried. I don't care a fig. Please don't light that cig and toss the ashes in my direction. I don't delight in filth, and neither does a teacup pig. I'm not too concerned about snapping a twig when I step on it. I am often bothered by mosquitoes and flies. I have no way of shaking them off my tail, so I wiggle my bottom to try and get them loose. God has been looking after me. I have never been battered and bruised like a mullet. I dig the way that it slides down my gullet. I'm quite adept when it comes to dodging bullets. That doesn't mean I'm not vulnerable. I can't claim to be immune to harm and sickness. I am fallible. Even cats don't truly have 9 lives. They are given but one in which to thrive. Can you jive with me? I desire to sit in the shade of that broad lemon tree, stretch my legs out like a top,
pegged down to the grass. I chase the sunbeams as they move around and interchange their spots with shadows. I like to walk at my own pace. I need to sniff my pee and poo messages from other canines. Are they giving me warning signs? Are they sending me notes of love? You will never know, for I shan't ever tell you, though you may develop the peculiar ability to understand my barks, decode with blinking signals my abysmal and ecstatic moments. You will have to yell yourselves hoarse to get me to jump for a tasty treat. No matter how often you pat my rump, I shall not acquiesce. Unless I wish to address you or you carry a snack in your backpack, I will ignore you like you don't exist at all.
Remove the scales from my eyes to view the bright and shining light. Beating up my joyous praise to you on the membrane phone. Skin strips made taut and held together by rope remind me of that blessed hope keeping us united, though we may be frightened by the world around us. Still your love surrounds us on all sides. I will not forget you, though I may neglect you. Help me not to disrespect you. It's amazing how you love me, yet love me still despite all my flaws and imperfections, all my slights and trembling inconsistencies. Switch my focus back on you. Take it away from me. You may not be in my view, but the evidence of your miracles tells me that you are here, working on my behalf, doing far more than my mind can possibly wrap itself around. Beyond credulity, you're incredible to me. Your affections are indelible. My name is carved inside your heart. You bore those scars so I can dwell forever in your house when I die. Until that instant arise, let me bravely fight in the war for souls. Though this world makes me weary, you cheer me and comfort me when I'm that lonesome and teary. Odd people try and size you up, they don't prize you nearly as much as they should. I know I'm guilty too of distancing myself from you when you just want to be as close as skin is to bone. Let my faith not become mutilated beyond recognition by doubt, lust and pride. I long to live without. Let my desire be purified with holy fire. The inner confusion comes when I acknowledge my need for your assistance with every waking breath, and even in my unconscious mind state. I require your help to guide my psychic realm. I love you more than the woman who captures my heart with a single glance. You dance upon my fears and hateful notions. You crush into ash. The waves crash on the shore. They are shifting and drifting with the motions of the sand, celebrating your holy worth. There are times when I just want to be alone with you and forget about the fact I'm meant to live in community. But you folks invest in diversity. You embody unity. You live in the lunacy of those who crazily believe that peace is possible outside you. My heart is your dwelling place, divine being of grace untold. Love beyond that which my mind can fathom. I see your heart break at the sight of suffering souls when you spy them. You cry rivers of teardrops, wishing it would stop. Did you create man with free will so we could break the rules or obey them at our choosing? Or do you just grin and bear it, knowing we wouldn't be able to say we love you if we were forced to act only according to your desires? I wonder if you ever contemplate just destroying this world with floods of fires, starting over with a fresh batch of humans just emerge from the oven of your mouth, combined with the dirty ground. They say negotiations make strange bedfellows, but you wouldn't catch yourself forming an odd couple without any but one or anything that didn't represent who you are deep down, or even on the surface of your town, displaying your glory, such a vast array of spectacular jewels with no need for the sun, cause you were all the brightness we need. You did away with our requirement for the moon without piercing us all through its heart, as it appears to treat the sun when the glaring solar star disappears beneath the horizon, sick and every eve. You won't let me grieve on my own. You comfort me in ways no one else possibly can, cause you know me better than even my own self, more than those who claim to know me best. I lay my head down on your chest. I rest in peace, though life isn't yet over for me. I desperately long to follow your precepts. Without exception, I'm expecting miracles. I'm holding on to the only truth I have ever possessed, a wealth of intimate chronicles. Help me carry on when the storm rages all around me, while winds blow when the rain pours torrential and heavy, like the cloud up above me is about to fill with holes in this leaky boat like bottom. I am never forgotten by you. Let me likewise always remember you are the key to my breakthrough. Snap the chains about me to my old mindset. You don't constantly remind me of the past, the plagues as toss and turn in my bed. I am not wetting my way of being through you. I am seeing new possibilities and paradigms for myself, shifting beyond the familiar scene, accepting defeat as an inevitable. Tapioca pudding face. Leopards and tigers both have variegated patterns on their fur. So does little Dot waltzing round the streets in a polka dot dress. Folks may quibble amongst themselves over which version of reality they prefer. Some struck by the fact they like a true alternative. It's a wonder how God made some flowers which contain a multitude of colors and shades, and they do not even require man's meddling with their breeding in scientific laboratories. Blotchy cow print covers may decorate the lids of our lavatories. We are so much the poorer if we fail to see the earthness of Jehovah dwelling deep within the eyeballs of each other. Sometimes the best example for what happens to me is simply God permitting the attack of the enemy, seeing how I bear up under pressure. If I cave in like so many others, my resolve crumbling like a sandcastle beneath the bully's foot, or merely pushed raw into silica by the meanderings of a careless hermit crab. I don't care if I get stabbed, though I may suffer a little or a long while. Eventually my eyes will open up wide beyond the gates of paradise, so I can less for the here and now. Then what may follow immediately afterwards, preparing the way of the Lord while I remain here on earth, smiling in the face of danger and that savage bow of persecution dealt me by those I only figured would toss rainbows and cauliflowers in my direction, to make chicken soup to soothe my perpetually adolescent soul. Maturity is out of reach of me. My growth is stunted in this bonza-like environment. I am not content to perpetuate the laws of the enemy outside of my trajectory. There's a rocket out in space, observing everything that occurs down here on this muddy earth. Could you deliver me from the madness of my mind? There's no doubt about it. We see kids with vitiligo. Who knows if sun exposure or drugs did no harm? One day they shall wake up in their celestial and make his loving arms. We play with them in the waterfall. Amongst the vanilla bean and sago palms, we remain calm. No one God is a watchman. God in us, let snake sink its teeth in the swallow lake. The monkey stirs a cauldron, making mincemeat of us all. I wish my words were retractable like pens. Sadly they are not. It's a pity that friendship had to end because of my foolish actions. You see why I need a publicist or social media manager, or perhaps just better people skills, rather than get involved with a girl like you, who already has a boy of her own. That was a stupid mistake, and I'm still beating myself up over it. Not wishing I was dead, just longing for a time machine so I can erase a memory of that moment in history when I felt act like a Christian when faced with the temptation to stick bait under her nose, to strike from the good relationship she was already in. What made me think I had anything to offer her? I don't even have regular cash flow or a stable income except for these government benefits which can be yanked away from me any minute now. So what am I supposed to do when the sweet little kitten comes purring along my path, looking absolutely perfect, but she still has a ring on her finger? Well, I shine along my heart to linger on her beautiful form 1 minute longer, desiring her attention, yet knowing this is not the way to get it or maintain a lovely sense of humor. If I intended to keep her in a pleasant mood, then I certainly went about it the wrong way. So your significant other may defecate all over my hopes and dreams, but the tears won't stream down my cheeks forever. I'll pencil you down in my diary as a lesson learned, a mistake I am determined never to make again. I'm done getting threatening letters from insecure homeboys who can't deal with the fact that ladies attract a large amount of interest from members of the opposite sex wishing to flex with them. Though I may have been untoward in my intention, I do draw the line between a spouse and a boyfriend. Not that I am saying I was in any way, shape, or form really in the right. I just think you should know, though I may long to hold you tight, I'm not the kind of guy who follows you down the street or who calls you on the phone when no one is at home, leaving messages of heavy breath on your answering machine intended to disturb. Just 'cause I can't have you, I'm not making it my business to break the rules when it comes to you. I don't want anyone thinking I'm addicted to lure you into a romantic relationship with me. Though I may desperately desire you, still I know laws exist for a reason, even if they only apply within the context of your family court. If Papa is king, you must be respected. If I wish to get along with him, when sharing a table full of dishes set for tiny princesses and princes, you are so very precious to me. I'm glad you didn't throw me into the sea the first time you caught me acting either overly judgmental or overtly sleazy.
Life is breezy when I'm around you. I don't have to pretend to be anyone other than myself. I need not put on an actor, indulge in a masquerade, involve you in a game of charades, force you to strain your brain just to guess what I'm trying to say. If my eyes spies you passing my way, standing by the gate of Mr. Gate, you imitate the hard working in and out and great. Can I demonstrate to you the deepest love and affection by you assist in organizing an insurrection of my selfishness? You bring me closer to Jesus, although my track record in climbing fruit for you is patchy like an agate. It's time I engage in respiration. I concentrate on all the perspiration you decimate just to eliminate the welfare state potential dependency of your family, completely utilizing your intellectual capacity. If only your ingenuity could yield fruit retroactively. Subtracting you from me results in wayward faith strayed as far as yonder starlights in the sea. In my dreams I can feel you near me, don't disappear when the world is just starting to make sense again, kicking it in your company. Oh my home girl, I hate to contradict and correct you. Age makes a teacher out of me, though I am far more ignorant about some matters of the heart than you shall ever be. Experience dictates you plays the role of sensei. I marvel at your capacity to display grace under pressure seemingly each and every day. If you truly let loose your blown fuse, it might lead to murder or abuse, but you determined within your heart never to travel that deadly road. The breakfast of champions isn't trail mix but the word of God. Lord, we feast upon your word. It guides our minds and lights our path. It frees us from the claws of the past, whose hold on us is shaky. Its grip slipping loose from our necks like a noose, binding that blinding light scares it away. Devil, tumble down the stairs. Take your accusing nostalgia from my door. I'm not asking politely. I simply command the name of Jesus to drag you up by your horns and tail. You won't cause me to wail in despair anymore. You shall never convince me to curse God and die. My spirit cries out in a dry and thirsty land where there is no water. Lord, you are my strength and nourishment, the rock in whom I put my trust and hope. That life-giving spring in the desert, that joyous fountain which quenches my desire for drink, so never again shall I need it. Slaked by any other source, I have found your truth. Return to me during moments of crisis in my life. Those Sunday school scripture songs we recited over and over again drilled and instilled your holiness in my brain, and yes, it did filter through into my heart as well. It didn't just stay knowledge, I applied it and it became wisdom. Though I confess there were times when the truth didn't set me free because I failed to utilize it. Permit it to guide my conscience. I am not stupid enough to think morality exists outside of this intimacy with you I possess. You are the cure to my stress, your expressions of passion for us are worth my soul feasting upon like a baby does its mother's milk, suckling that stabilizing nutrient. We are rooted and established in your love. We are trees planted by living water, little saplings who need no worms or specialized dirt. Just the maker of the earth to purify us in the oven of his love. Melting away all that is filthy and doesn't reflect his heart, reveling in each good and perfect gift which arrives to us via his hands alone. The way to heaven is clearly shown by our master and commander who doesn't let us struggle through life all by ourselves. He has given us a piece of himself, a comforter to inhabit our praises, to transform our mindsets when past regrets and current predicament tries to top us. Fruits of the Spirit. If a man gives his lunch willingly to a bully who has just punched him in the face, that reflects love and grace. If a woman keeps on singing praise songs when she has just had a miscarriage, that is true joy. If a little girl gives her brother a hug when he has just ripped her dolly's head off, that is the true definition of peace. If a man waits for hours while his wife tries on pretty dresses and doesn't have a magazine to distract him and responds cheerily to every comment she makes, like, does my bum look big in this, or which one of these looks better on me, or can you help me hunt down my size, which never seems to be in any store I visit, and he doesn't grump about it one bit, that is true patience personified. If a woman welcomes her brand new neighbor to her hood with milk and cookies, that's what I call kindness. If a man can bring freshly cut flowers to his grumpy neighbor who always yells at his dog 'cause he makes a loud noise, I'd call that goodness. When I look at all the many decades my folks have been together, I can't seem to discover a better example of faithfulness, except to mention the many ways in which Christ has always been there for me. Even while I called him stranger and enemy, he used me and cherished me. Still,
But now my soul is safeguarded 'cause it's destined for Zion's hill. When I see a little girl feeding a lamb through the fence with a milk bottle, that symbolizes gentleness to me. When a kid can resist grabbing a donut in the room and they wait for an hour or so, then a greater reward of a whole bag of donuts comes bursting through their door. This lot no longer plain Jane's, but extra tasty, icing smothered and oozing with jam. That's what I'd call self-control. Otherwise referred to by Jesus as meekness, which crazy-minded dictionary makers have falsely ascribed as weakness. Yet it takes a whole lot of inner strength not to give in when the crowd does the opposite. Don't let that peer pressure destroy your faith. Your life is much too precious to waste a single drop of it. The more you cooperate with the Holy Spirit, the easier you will find it to fight these battles life throws in your direction every day. Earthly utopia is about as impossible as a divine human outside Jesus. Your awesomeness is proven. In each moment I continue with my pupils undilated and even beyond the grave. That is when your majesty is revealed at full capacity. In my everyday dealings with family, help me to represent you adequately. Though my way of thinking may appear antiquated in the eyes of those facing an immediate scorching. The second their souls leave their bodies, blasting off in jetpacks for some mystical land beyond the sun. I can't hardly wait to get there. I know you're preparing for my arrival. You will take me to be with you in that place you've gone, where no misery can reside. I wish you to preside over all my decision-making. Throw it in the incinerator at the preemptive stage. If it doesn't match what brings a smile to your dial, sweet Jesus, I acknowledge your guidance as being the main catalyst for my joy in every moment. I don't want to pass away without having kids of my own, but I know I'm better off if I die childless. If it means when I leave this globe you shall gladly receive me with open arms. Perhaps you have carved the path of grandparentlessness for my folks. I surely hope not, 'cause my life seems like a joke with no progeny of my own. But I give it up to you, Lord, hoping you will hear my fondest longing, yet resolving to move only in accordance with your mastery. I was brought to life by your divine breath. The scarlet thread of my bloodstream screams of your glory. Waking up stirred by the urgency of telling the world of this state of human emergency we are in right now. This earth is creaking closer to its zenith. We have no zeppelins to beam us out of disaster areas. All we have is our faith in you to act like a pair of invisible wings, carrying us up over the clouds and soaking our hearts with joy, even in the midst of our sorrowful light eons. This planet we be on is destined for greatness only if we salivate at the prospects of doing what brings you sheer euphoria. Chuckling at the near misses I've had, the scrapes with death when hot angry breath was close to my chin. Did I remember in that traumatic instance how you are my shield, preserving soul and bone. Drop of enlightened minds, city of eternal love. You would belong with us. Seeing all these, we sweep aside the concept that you might abide with them forever in your village of purified souls, desperate to have them join amongst those much prized lambs who have called you their own, those who have grown up in the awareness of your all-encompassing manifest presence. Gloom has no place in your kingdom, so we shan't cultivate it like mushrooms. You cause joy to bloom out the childlike garden of our hearts, forever developing yet maintaining infancy, not stunted in growth yet preserving the Redeemer's innocence, ever trusting, yielding to your voice, submitting to the wisdom of by choices guided by your governance. The role of leadership we place on your shoulders. Death is not a bubbling, troubling cauldron of torment for us, but a rich, lustrous tapestry of your handiwork, far more magnificent than anything our mind could possibly conjure up in the thinking tank of linking dreams with reality. Watch them skipping with arms chained in loop like paper dolls. These daisy cuffs, the rough and sandpaper soul may be refined by, if we live how we were designed instead of closing ranks rebelling against it. Give the urge to make somebody feel like rubbish for the path they picked. A roundhouse kick straight through its cranium immediately. A disembodied yet not totally disempowered slime bag may remind me of the cutting remarks that still grind my gears. Polish my stony face spirit with a razor's strop of your conviction. Let it be deep-seated, penetrated these glassy stairs. The case I ascended admitted my need to quit the pretense and throw down my defences. be vulnerable with you. Only permit fences to prevent myself crossing over the borders of your fortress of safety with my faultless acts, not always consciously meditated over prior to bringing them about in our three-dimensional domain. To me, insanity is willfully remaining ignorant of you, electing to plug my ears to the crucial information required to yank me free from hellfire's beckoning tongues and claws. Devious and mischievous no more, clamber on your ship headed for pure holy shore. Only you could tame a wilderness into productivity. I wasn't sure if I was looking at eyeshadow or teardrops pouring out her irises. I'd hate to think I was the cause of her sorrow. I know that you can switch her mood from thinking of herself as garbage, only good for throwing away, to seeing herself correctly, as both your treasure and princess. Though I long for her to be mine, I know that she is your property first and foremost, and I will just have to learn to share her with you if I want the two of us to get along. I must remember there are three in this relationship, and I must also prioritize to give God the full portion of my attention, even and especially when I'm with her, making sure I don't do anything to her I wouldn't want to engage in activity from with you. We face the tricky task of fleshing out our faith. We trace our origins back to your divine realm. And find peace in the knowledge you're taking care of all the goings on in the universe. Botanical sphinxes, elusive curious seekers, truth speakers and blue sneakers, hunting after a distant shoreline dream. The nearer you are, the greater the suffering. When the one you love finally passes on through, the dearer the cost to those left behind, forced to fend for themselves, especially if the death isn't by other causes. The deprivation of love can kill us faster than any other gross disease or sickness. Lack of hugs can stunt our growth. Do we see sloths making more of an effort to express affection in some humans, even in a lethargic mind state, sluggishly making their way through the motions of interaction with the same species? Did I give her a reason to stop in her tracks and pause for the merest of moments to reflect upon her actions and praise the Lord for all the calamity he has kept her from? Was I shy of the mark? Did I stick my foot in my mouth again? Your silence doesn't mean animosity or grief. I can tell you just processing what you hear. All that rapid rush of information flowing in one ear and out the other is the worst pain you experience to be openly targeted or ignored as if you are a shadow of or the launch here. They may deny you exist, yet you continue resisting all attempts to box your soul. Imagine if pigeons came free with every plum tree. They call me a paladin. I am a palace warrior, defender of the realm. I dance around the orchard. I hide amongst the slender elves. I won't be intimidated by the accusations others throw at me, though they haunt me as I attempt to convey an attitude of nonchalance, trying desperately to convince anyone who is currently breathing, including myself. I had to be reminded of accusing eyes of my indescribably devious state. Those mischievous moments I found myself unable to relive, knowing if I did, I'd more than likely tread the same path as I have done on countless prior occasions. It's not like my heart fails to be penitent at the sight of others, recollecting the events that took place when I slipped blood on my face. Waking up to the realization I'm not perfect isn't too much of a shock for me to discover, for I live in a corrupted world, but that doesn't mean my heart has to be on a time bomb ticking along, waiting for its own self-destruction to begin. I would slay the dragon that guards your castle. Use an extinguisher or a helicopter working as a crop duster to put out that fire. Or did I just fan the flames and cause them to leap even higher, like a gesture that's attempted to tickle your funny bone nest in feeling they should tread upon the trail of death where skulls and skeletons can be observed scattered amongst the dust and vultures? The acid rain is chewing up my armor. I won't have long before I'm soaked completely to the skin for my sins. I love you, darling. I could whisk you off to a far distant land forgotten by the media glaring people. How low would you have to stoop in order to consider me worthy of you? How debased must you become to view any potential in me? Most men would rather slay an army of thousands and face the wrath of their prospective mother-in-law. Many would be willingly stretched out on Iraq in preference to enduring their future father by marriage's torturous ordeal of a questionnaire. It may not seem fair, but it is right for a boss to dispense wages as he or she likes. If your dog isn't on a pike, rejoice. You have made it through the drawbridge into her heart. The isolated amethyst that strangely missed the collector's list. If you've been hated on all of your life, you start to hate on yourself as a preemptive strike. When I say I care deeply about folks killing my people, I'm talking about Christ's body, the light and darkness not skin to. Melanin, its visible presence or less obvious shadow we cling to. That heaven given some protection. Some of us are blessed with more than others. The color of my complexion is no reflection upon the contents of my heart or character. Don't judge me by the inactions or deeds of my people. Let me be the one to acknowledge the sins of our fathers and mothers so we can discover a new world beyond tomorrow. We all have the right to become God's children and share equally in His treasures. But some of us don't cherish each other nearly as much as we should. Then the ones that we love go and perish on us, and we realize what all the fuss was about when they told us as young as ghosties that day. Don't let any opportunity slip away to put love on clear display in your lives in every waking moment. How can we be content with all the hate and division that goes on in this world? Let our decisions not be guided by the discriminations and prejudices of the past. Let's have more unguarded moments where we feel free to be vulnerable with each other. Love is the key to open every door that's been shut previously. We need to take God seriously when He says He loves us no matter what we do with ourselves. We limit His power to work amongst us when we walk in discord instead of moving to the modes of His harmonious trumpet tones. How far have we flown, flinging ourselves from His throne? Yet there was never more than a stone's throw away from the simple choice to tune into His voice instead of shutting Him out like the foolish rap we took when we swallowed the cod's wallop of our old king. Now our heart is a new ruler. We won't be tricked like we were in times previous. We were actively engaged in warfare, prepared to share the reason why in every season we can rejoice, knowing there is a life beyond our picture pastures, stinking of sin. There is a place we can travel where His face we see is welcome, mate. A pony used to be the only kind of rocking hobby horse. Resurrection was present in our ancient ritual, boogie-woogie, but we were just too blind to see until Jehovah sent folks to open our eyes and point the way towards vision and hope. The Rolling Stone gathered more, so I like to roll one over the yourself. Every day I am compelled to carry my cross, examining of all I have gained, exclaiming of all I have gained, counting it as lost compared to the glory awaiting beyond my final breath. All my foolish people blackening our faces, imitating those of a Nubian extraction until we grew tired of the pretense and settled for mere jingling bells on our ankles instead. Let's do away with cut and vogue attached to phallic symbols. They have no place on our stages. Deal with transvestites and pagan idols. It is but one God, Elohim. We have to thank for the fertility of our animals, plants, fruits, vegetables, flowers, and offspring. That bountiful harvest is all because of Him. And oh, what a woe and a tragedy that it would be to only concern ourselves with the needs of this life alone when it's just a drop in the ocean of eternity. Let us stop it so dear. Cast our vision beyond the immediate concerns to the issue that should bother us the most. If we can safeguard our future beyond the stars, who bore our scars with His willing sacrifice so we might obtain that celestial prize. We don't need any kind of stick or blade to fight against the evil beings that surround us, attempting to control and infiltrate our circles of trust. All we require is your truth to fight our battles for us, calling on His name, sweet Jesus. Rescue us with chariots of fire, with lariats of heavenly designs, which are by desire to be mirrors of yours alone. Overthrow false gods we place on top of you in our affections. Spirit flow out of this body, manifest your presence in obvious demonstration of the overwhelming peace only you provide. Remove the scales from the eyes of our once misguided spirits. Let us not presume upon your mercies that in enduring forever they shall obtain for us infinite second chances when our expiration cancels out all opportunity to decide you were right all along when you said, behold, I am the narrow gate to paradise. Peace out!